Yo, what's going on? I just want to take a minute to thank everyone. Last month we hit 1 million views, and this month towards the end of it we're about to hit 10,000 subscribers. Just want to thank you guys for supporting me along this YouTube journey that I'm taking. And the build that we're about to get into is a remodel of one of my most popular base builds, the Mega Tank base. So I hope you guys enjoy the video and let's get into the build. So the footprint on this base is similar to the old version. It's just a dino foot basically, and we're going to be doing something a little different with the airlock. It's going to be a 2-story access instead of a 1-story access. Throughout the video I'm going to be showing you things that you could do differently than what I show in the build. So this version of the base might not be exactly the same as the one that I showed you at the walkthrough at the beginning of the video, but everything is very simple as this base is very small and it's very simple to change to the way that you would like it yourself. The way that I build my bases is I build the outer shell first, usually, unless I'm going to be building an expandable base, but this one would be pretty difficult to expand off of. So we're going to just build the outer layer first, and make sure you don't make the mistake that I did here, which would be kind of weird to edit out. You actually need that square to be on the other side, and then this one will stay open, and we can use some twig stairs to get up to the second floor, which we're going to create the shell for right now, and then create our airlock to protect ourselves while we build the rest of the base. Most of this base can be upgraded at any given point in time, so you don't necessarily need all 10,000 metal frags immediately to start building this base. But if you're going to upgrade later on, I would recommend keeping only the very outer layer stone and then doing the interior, which we're about to get to in a moment, as sheet metal right away, just because some honeycomb might be difficult to upgrade later on, and you want to make sure that that is sheet metal to have the full strength of this base. The reason I used this type of entrance to the base is that people would usually think it's going to be a lot of doors, since the airlock is on the second floor and there's no doors on the first, meaning that most of the time, if people are overthinking it, they might not door raid your base. And even if they do door raid your base, it's still going to be quite difficult. And there are some door patterns that you could choose to add a lot more doors to the drop down area. If you would like some early protection, like an extra garage door, this is how I would go about it, depending on how you want to access your drop down. Otherwise I would just ignore this if you don't want to do it this way, and I do change it later on. So if you're building while watching, I wouldn't place that wall right away. I would watch the video all the way through first. Now we're going to start building our TC area, which is going to go in this triangle over here. We're going to honeycomb off this area and upgrade it to high quality if that's what you would like to do. We're only upgrading the ceilings and walls around our main loot room and our TC, and it is very cheap, and the upkeep is less than 25. If you're new to the whole concept of loot room that I'm building right now, you're going to want to make sure your TC is as close to this line as possible while being as close to the left wall as possible, while still being able to place this window here. I purposefully placed mine a little too far back just to show you that if you place it up against the left wall as much as possible, but you didn't place it far enough forward, you can still access it. And then I sped up this part of the video because it's kind of boring, but we're just going to be putting down our boxes in this loot room. If you would like some shotgun traps, I would subtract the small box in the middle on the bottom. If you would not want the shotgun trap on the top, you can also add another small box to the top shelf as well. After we've completed our main loot room, we can begin filling in the first floor, and right here I show you how you can still access the TC at this point right here, which is kind of a bitch to deal with. But if you didn't place it far enough forward and you can't destroy the walls, then you're gonna have to deal with it like that. So make sure you place your TC far enough forward. Now we're going to honeycomb off the sides over here, and then place 3 vending machines to add some extra loot space while still keeping this part of the base secure if somebody comes in from the side. So you'll want to make sure that you keep your TC fully stocked, and then your most valuable loot will go in this main loot room right here, and then like spare resources or extra gear can go in these vending machines. If you would prefer to not have so much loot space, you could utilize some of these triangles for like a workbench or furnaces if you require more space for either of those things, and you can just seal them off like this for the effects of honeycomb. But if anyone comes in then from that side they will be able to like send a rocket in there. So just make sure that you don't put it in the same place that I do, and maybe like off to the left or the right, or maybe utilize a separate piece of honeycomb. You know what I mean? You can do this anywhere in the base where there's a triangle honeycomb. Doesn't necessarily have to be in this one spot. Also, if you do put a workbench in here, you can't put 2 furnaces without not being able to use the workbench, so just keep that in mind. But if you have like a vending machine there, you could put 2 furnaces there. And then if you have a buddy that hops on and only PvPs with you while you farm, while you farm up all day, well, you can fit a sleeping bag in there for him too. So as you saw in the walkthrough of the base, I had a triangle right here that just allows us to put shotgun traps down here for anyone that drops down and doesn't pay attention, or to help people get up, that one guy who can't crouch jump for his life. Because if you build it similarly the way that I did in the walkthrough of this base at the start of the video, you would have noticed that I had a half height floor right here behind a single door frame like this, with some shotgun traps in there as well. If anyone breaks the door, they're gonna have to deal with that. And then if they fall down and that triangle's there, they might not necessarily be paying attention and could fall down and get wrecked by that shotgun trap. But you could just put a bunch of doors like this if you want. But for this specific design, I figured it would be best if we honeycombed this off and then had our path go this way, so that we could have some more space that's easily accessible all through one path, so that we can fit our furnaces over here in the honeycomb. If you want more furnaces, you can place them off to the left, and then we can place all of our other deployables off to the side. Again, keep in mind this is honeycomb, but it does have a gap, which means people can rocket in there, and if they angle it correctly, they could take out 2 walls at once. But the way that we have it, specifically in this design, they wouldn't necessarily be getting anywhere besides a door, and the amount of rockets that they're going to send in would be enough to break the door, yeah, but they would still have to go through the wall anyway to get anywhere, and they're not breaking a wall that leads anywhere important unless they're like gonna rocket straight down on this high quality right here, I guess. So you might not want to put your furnaces necessarily right there, rather than off to the left one more triangle. But it's not a huge deal. It still acts as honeycomb and gives us more space for deployables, but you might not need as many furnaces as I'm showing in this base design, so just keep that in mind. You might not want to build it exactly as I do. It's all personal preference, and that's why I've decided to kind of show a few different ways that you can go about building the base, just because of how dynamic Rust is. Up here, I'm building more loot space, which you don't necessarily have to use as loot space. You could put shotgun traps up here, or you could put auto turrets up here even, but if you do put auto turrets up here, I would make it a double door and not a single door. The only reason I'm making it a single door is so that it's a little more difficult to shoot out the shotgun trap from an angle. At this point, we're going to finish off the base by putting some doors down, adding our deployables off to the side over here, and then calling it a day. So in this triangle, you could have added some more furnaces or a workbench or whatever else you can fit in there and still use instead of walling it off. But we chose to wall it off there since we don't require any more furnace space, and we're going to build our deployable room with our workbench, repair bench, research table, and we're also going to utilize this small space as a backup bag area. So after we put these 2 boxes under here, I'll tell you what I mean. So if we are getting raided and people are coming through the door, we'll have an extra bag over here for ourselves. And since we're able to put boxes under both of these deployables and even under our repair bench that we're about to put down in a second, we will have an area that we can spawn if we're getting raided, where we can grab some quick gear, some quick meds, and then protect our base if the people are down inside of our base near our TC. So let's say you come back to your base and you're getting raided. We can only assume that they haven't broken through the garage door yet if you've, like you kind of know where they're at, like your doors are broken off and you see they're shooting the sheet metal door. Since we have this garage door here, if they break the sheet metal door, there's a strong chance they're going to go through there before breaking this garage door. And if they don't, there's another garage door there, meaning that they're probably going to go explore through the sheet first and then notice that that's where the TC is at, meaning you have some extra time to spawn in this bag up here rather than spawning in the one down there and dying immediately. You can spawn up here, grab some quick gear, and then come down and try to protect yourself. But this is pretty much the entirety of this version of the base. If you go back to the beginning of the video where I did the walkthrough of the base, you can see a different version of the base, but both are equally strong. It's just the first version might have some things that you want, like a drop box near your airlock with a trap, or maybe just a different angle to the base. But yeah, explore your options with this base. I tried to be as dynamic as possible instead of sticking to the static base design that I usually do. Let me know if you enjoyed the options that I gave, or if you would rather me stick to the static one version of a base design. Since this base was so simple in concept, I just wanted to try to explain some different ways of laying out your deployables within your base using different paths. If you have any questions or things you want to see in the future, let me know in the comments below. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.